Welcome everybody. We are back in studio with my local hero back from Benoni, South African superstar Marc Pritzen. Marc, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to have you in studio.
Reuniting in Cape Town.
Told you it would happen. I've still got the video of you in your EF kit and at the top of Atlas Road coming down, and we're talking about, it's a really shitty cell phone content. Something about Cape Town, and then you drop me, as is often the case. So here we are. Your missus in the background and mine back at home. Like, what more could we ask for?
100%, Joe.
Marc, we're here to chat about you, your story, the origin story, as it were. Wherever the conversation goes, we'll follow. So why don't you start off introducing yourself to those who don't know you and tell us a bit about Marc Pritzen.
I don't really feel like talking about myself, to be honest with you. Talk about anything else, really.
How was the coffee you had downstairs?
No, I must say, the coffee I had downstairs was probably, I'd say in the top 2 best coffees I've ever had.
Damn.
So I'm gonna put that straight up there.
Some say that if you have oat milk, you can't consider yourself a caffeine enthusiast. I'm an almond milk fan myself, so fuck you, whoever thinks that's not legit. But it's tricky.
Yeah.
It is tricky.
No, 100%. But I must say that was up there.
Kudos to Leslie downstairs. If you haven't been, Active Hobo Coffee, you will be chased for a review if you come in store.
100%. And my name is Marc Pritzen. I am a Namibian born, live in South Africa currently, moved to South Africa in 2005. Come from a long line of German descent. My grandparents and everyone is German. I still speak German. My home language is German. I've got family still in Namibia. I've got family in Germany. I currently cycle for Honeycomb 226s. I've been with them now for I think 3 years. Took a break 1 year to go to EF and then came back and then continued racing for them. And they've helped me now to bring a new dream of mine or an old dream back to life with the mountain biking. And I'm very thankful for that. And our background with me as well, I used to do athletics, had a knee injury, and with the knee injury then started cycling. I got an option, either I start swimming or start cycling. Not a very good swimmer, so decided cycling is the way I'm going to go.
So you currently identify as a cycling athlete. That's where we're boxing you. Mountain bike is the flavor at the moment, but that's way at the end of the story. I'm going to take us right back to the Namibia part.
Yep.
Where in Namibia were you born?
Windhoek. Yep.
And you grew up there till what age? You moved 2005?
2005, yeah.
What age is that?
So that's 5 years old, yeah.
Okay. So no schooling there?
No.
Why the move?
So did motocross that side, but we ended up coming up to South Africa every second weekend, third weekend for my brother, because he was racing motocross in South Africa. He eventually did quite well and he went over to Belgium. That also didn't work out very well. He unfortunately was promised a lot of things and all that, and broke his neck and then ended up coming back to South Africa and also racing here. It's a lot like, if I think about it now, it's actually a lot like my stories, you know. Also had a big crash that side and then ended up coming back to South Africa. So,
So 5 years old, you guys moved,
made the move
to pursue the motocross dream.
And my dad also ended up being in South Africa a lot with work and all that. So he installs lifts and escalators. Okay. And he also had a big work opportunity this side and decided, everything of ours is basically this side already. There's not much more, the jobs here, brothers, sports here, might as well just make the move.
Is it memorable for you at all? Can you remember that move?
A little bit, but more of my brother and my sister's side. Like my brother going full-blown English and German into Afrikaans school, Jeugland. And,
I can't imagine you guys not being Afrikaans. Marc Pritzen, Marc Pritzen is not Afrikaans. So I see you as an Afrikaner.
Yeah. No, also I went to Blauw Borsie and also couldn't speak a word Afrikaans. And that was just the kindergarten. But the parents and everyone was very, very scared of me because this kid just says everything in all languages, but not Afrikaans.
Speaking in tongues.
Yeah, and I learned the language, so
Yeah.
I mean, all credit to them.
And the German, who kept the German going? Is it your household language?
That's the household language. I think that's due to my parents. They've
Kept it strong.
Really kept it strong with us. Yeah.
Okay. I always find it really cool when you speak German to people. It's a nifty party trick. So you moved up 5. Where'd you guys live when you moved to Joburg?
We came up to Kempton Park.
Okay.
Yeah, moved to Kempton Park. Hence why my brother went to Jeugland, myself to Blauborshi, and then I went to Van Riebeeck Park Primary. And then from there on, I went to high school in Hoërskool Kempton.
Okay.
Yeah.
So born and raised Kempton once you moved here. Okay. I actually didn't know that. That's
No.
down the road the whole time.
Yeah.
No wonder you know those segments so well. And primary school, high school, growing up, the German, the English, any drama?
A lot of drama, a lot of struggles for me personally. I never learned to read or write German, so I had to actually. Yeah, I think the problem with that came. I learned Afrikaans, but I was thinking in German, and the sentence construction in German is quite difficult, and Afrikaans is I ended up confusing the languages with each other, and I actually did that up until high school. So
Sure.
there was some.
Primary school's a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I mean I did well, but I say there were its challenges. But yeah, I mean at the end of the day, it ended up being quite okay. I think my parents managed it well. But I mean, if you think about it, I wake up in the morning, I speak German. I go to school, I speak Afrikaans. You go to the gym, you speak English. I go to speak to my brother or friends and whatever, English. Come home, do Afrikaans homework.
And German English and English are 2 different English.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like you get Benoni English, Foxburg English, Fourways English. German English is its own.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so do you enjoy languages?
I do. I tried to learn an extra language or 2 when I went to Europe. But they say that it'll come easier the more languages you know. That's bullshit. That's not true. There's so many similar words.
Yeah.
So then you think about it and you're like, okay, so in German it's this word, and then in Italian it's this word. Okay, so but they have 2 different meanings or whatever like that, but they're the same word. So now try and figure that out.
Did you use Duolingo ever?
I did for a while.
If I think about the things that have created the most unhealthy stress in my life, Duolingo is like top 3. Those little notifications and that gamified peer pressure.
When you get those streaks going, you have to keep on going.
I hated it. I couldn't handle it. So I was like, I have too much stress in my life.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like a little animal as well. So it's like super trippy. It's like, you should be happy and healthy,
Yeah,
but you actually are quite a dickhead.
Yeah.
Sporting wise, primary school?
Everything. I mean, as any kid.
The whole lot.
Yeah, as any kid. I mean, you do rugby. Apparently, I also can't remember this. My parents told me there was quite a story when I did my first rugby tryouts. So went onto the field, finally, this is now, see if I can maybe become, one of these, South African rugby players. I just tackled anyone that was on the field. I didn't understand a single thing. It was my own teammate, the ref. They went down. So rugby. I actually did end up playing rugby. I played cricket, did cross country, athletics. Yeah, did pretty much that. Yeah.
Were you always so tall?
No, primary school I wasn't that tall.
When did the height kick in?
High school.
Okay.
I'd say I definitely shot up.
Primary school to high school, prefer the one to the other?
I mean, different challenges. Primary school was quite fun, if you think back. But high school is obviously where I've grown in. If you basically find your identity and you find what you want to do in life. I'd say high school. I have to say high school. Yeah. Also, I mean, I've had life-changing moments in high school where I go to Hoërskool Kempton Park on a bursary. It's all about running now. I had to choose between, the rugby. I got a bursary for pretty much all of them, but I had to choose which one I wanted to really focus on. So the running was the one that took preference. And then...
Why running?
I don't know. I found rugby wasn't really my thing. Cricket I was quite good at, but I enjoyed the racing things. I enjoyed the racing, keeping in shape, training Again, that's due to my brother though. My brother used to obviously race motocross, and every morning I would go sit in traffic on the way to school. I see my brother running in the opposite way coming past us. So he was always training, he was always being fit, staying fit, and I took after that.
What's the age gap?
8 years.
8 years, is that much?
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, 8 years to my brother, 7 years to my sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when he's busy training, is he out of school at this point and you seeing him?
I think he was in matric at the time.
Okay.
So he was doing homeschooling.
Okay.
Because of going to Belgium, he had to, do.
Okay, so he went all in on that.
Yeah.
Literally homeschooled to have more time on the bike, presumably.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'd say my brother was probably the more talented kid. If you look at like the broader perspective on sport, he was probably the more talented.
Sure. That's saying something.
Yeah.
And so how much of a role did that play? Is it his attitude? Is it his results? Is it his drive? Like what is it of that
I think
I assume that had an influence on
absolutely.
defining?
When I grew up watching my brother train for races and then being there when my brother was racing, it was like life-changing for me. Like every time I see him, stand on the start line, then he starts and you just watch this whole race unfold, and then afterwards you can just see like, the fatigue and everything, and everything looks so cool to me. Like it was like, I need to race.
Motocross is pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Those are the coolest athletes in the world. Like, don't ever kid yourself.
And I found so much like inspiration with that. I mean, I would then go home after the race. We would go home. My brother and them would wash their bikes, and then where the water would be flowing, I'd be building a little motocross track in the sand in the garden, And then I had my little bikes, and I'll be playing there. And that was my life. I was just like preparing myself to become like my brother. And the work ethic, my brother was, he would, doesn't matter what he did everything at 110%. So when he was in the gym, he was doing, everything. Like if you see also, he was a mechanic on his own bikes. He changed his own tires. He did all of those things. And I was trying to be like my brother. If it was on my bicycle, I was trying to change tires for myself. I was trying to be everything that my brother was. But then, I started the cycling, and I actually started cycling a little bit before the knee injury, and that was one way I could actually participate with my brother, because my brother actually also stopped running because he also had a knee injury, and then found the cycling.
What's the deal with the knee injury? Where did that creep in?
So, with me, I had a coach in running, and he wasn't too happy with me with cycling. And he pushed me the one day a little bit too much on a cross-country training camp, and he dropped me off with the marathon runners, and we did a half marathon that day. And I mean, I was 1,500 meter, 800 meter athletes, and I ran the 21K.
You did a 21?
I did a 21K with him. I was probably 16 at the time, 16, 15, somewhere around there.
It's a big number for a...
Yeah, and I hadn't been training as I should have been. So he dropped me off and I ran, and the next day my knee was like the size of like a ball.
Just nothing in particular, not a bail, just...
No, just overstrain. And later on, and like he kept on dropping me off with further and further with the guys and all that, and I just ended up walking, and I just couldn't run anymore. And then we did some checks afterwards, and I actually was busy tearing my ligaments, and they were like partially torn by the time we had actually looked at them. And also then, when that had happened, I sent my brother for my parents a photo. My brother wanted to climb into his car and come fetch me, And my brother's injury was motocross. He just lost the front, bike fell on his knee, and also...
MCL or ACL or...
Not actually 100% sure, but he had a dislocation on his knee.
This is pre the neck injury.
Yes, that's pre the neck injury, yeah.
So now you both... I love this. This trend is so common. I was injured, I was doing this other sport, and then while I was injured, I cycled.
Yeah.
Cycling is the thing real athletes do when they're injured.
Yeah.
And then, so you guys both training at this point in time now, bicycle just to stay fit and keep the demons at bay.
And like doing the 947, the little races, like, well, not little races, but like obviously I started out with, I don't know if you know the Apocalypse cars, like the Chalk Foundation, childhood cancer.
Cars.
Yes. Yeah. So my brother did the Apocalypse cars, and I did the Chalk cars, and my brother's wife actually helped us raise all the money to come and race. You have to raise like 6,000 Rand or something.
They do proper activations.
Absolutely. I mean, and then the day before, it was my favorite whole build-up thing. And then the day before, we all get there and they just buy pizzas, and we just have pizzas to carb up, and then we have this whole motivational talk, and the next day you're like amped on the start line, Yeah, so we did that. And I mean, I would ride with my brother on coffee rides and all that.
So it's now 16-ish.
Yeah.
So you're running competitively for your bursary at school. At no point before this, you've ridden or thought about cycling as a
profession, no.
Even as a hobby at that point. I mean, it's something that you did for
as
fun.
a hobby, maybe, yeah, but it also wasn't as fun as it could have been. I mean, I would sit at the back, absolutely cucking off, like just, you know, when you're there, but you're not there. You're almost on the wheel, but you're
exactly
you're freewheeling before you get to the wheel, and then they accelerate again, and then you're just not on the wheel again.
Where is this now?
This is Benoni now. This is Benoni, going
15,
past
16, riding on the road with your brother.
on the road with my brother, with his friends, early morning, 5 o'clock, winter morning. And
so your brother had taken up weekend warrior type cycling as a hobby.
As a hobby.
With some of his mates.
As a hobby, but he was actually racing with Nolan Hoffman, Clint Hendricks.
Oh, shit.
So he was that good. You know, again, took up cycling and made it great again for himself. Like, I mean, he was up there racing with the guys, didn't get any results, but damn, my brother was always in the front.
He could get to the finish of a race with that guy inside.
Yeah, he was basically driving the breakaway with those guys in it. And I mean, obviously they're a little bit more smarter in that term because they would just make him work and then they'll sprint him at the end.
Sure.
But my brother's chuffed for that. He was like, I had an awesome race, 100%.
How old is he now when he's doing this? I'd say a couple of years ago.
Probably 24, 25.
Okay, which puts you at 16.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're now riding. Okay, now that puts things in perspective if you're on the back of a group with him training at that level, cucking off.
Yes. Yeah. And then
context is everything.
The best part of it is that then my brother's friend will go past and he'll talk to my brother and say, listen, Mark's at the back, he's struggling. And I can see this whole situation happening, this conversation going on there. My brother pulls off the front, comes back, comes in right next to me, and I'm breathing hard, I'm really focusing on this wheel, and he calls me Poops, so he's like, hey Poops, are you okay? I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not. I'm really under pressure. So he's like, okay, just hang on there. Cool. He goes back to the front, sits on the front, and makes it harder, he rides me off. And I will never forget that.
Oh, legend.
I will never ever forget
the role
that.
of a big brother.
And I literally make him pay for that until this day. Every single time.
That.
I mean,
I did drop all the way back to check if you're okay. Okay, you're actually fine. I'm going to go to the front and drop you.
Actually reminds me of a story at DC the one year. Honeycomb brought a team to DC. Yeah. And we rolled the first 100 Ks, got to the first water point. I had a puncher, but I still arrived at
I remember this DC well.
And we left the first water point to go towards the second checkpoint. And it's that long ass road that's wide open, wind's always coming from the right. There's cars both ways, it's chaos. And there's cyclists everywhere. Yeah. So I say to the boys, listen, I'm gonna go in the front and I'm just gonna ride. Just sit my wheel, because if we roll, it's just gonna be a mess. Yeah. So I'm in the front and I check this whole thing, everyone's trying to hook onto us as well. But now we've got a little bit of a gutter going there. And I can see, I look back this one moment, because I feel like I'm going hard, but I can hear things from the back there. So I look over my shoulder and I see my brother, but he's absolutely swearing at me. But I just see these hands, and that German came out in him, that proper German came out. And then I see hands and everything. I was like, I can't deal with this right now. So I went hard and I rode him off. So
literally never let him live it down.
No, he had time to cool off. By the time we got to the next checkpoint, he was fine.
Yes, I can relate. Your relationship with him now, same. You guys still
absolutely
very close.
Yeah,
obviously.
Very close, very, very close.
Where's he at? What's he up to?
He's in Namibia again. He moved back to Windhoek. Yeah, he's there with his wife and 2 kids.
Happy.
Yeah, happy. He's
still busy in the athletic world, or?
Not as much. He's started his own company now, so he's not got as much time for the cycling. I don't think he could ever stop. I mean, it's my brother's identity. I mean, I think as any cyclist would know, if that's your stress relief,
it's very different cycling as a hobby, stress reliever, versus training to finish races with Nolan or DC with Honeycomb. Yeah.
But I think also that's my brother
started a business now, which you'll presumably channel that energy into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, if he does something, he does it properly. So if it's his work, does it full on, but then he tries to do the cycling full on as well. Be a full-time dad, be a husband.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it takes, eventually he has to,
Something gives.
yeah, he has to give it at some
Life-
point, yeah.
life
So
teaches you
cycling
that
has to
quick.
take a back step right now.
Yeah. But still riding and doing,
Yeah.
probably still doing above average mileage and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Okay, so brother's a big role model in shaping a lot of your outlook, not just, I suppose, cycling, but
Yeah.
that was the inspiration to pushing beyond
For sure,
ordinary,
for sure.
leaving mediocrity behind. So, 16, you start riding with him around Benoni. When does the cycling take a step up from there?
So,
And how does that intertwine with finishing off school? Are those two things connected?
I actually watched the Simon video.
Yeah.
And
What do you think?
I loved it. I loved it. Just hearing about someone else's life and like just trying to relate to different scenarios and all that. But you know, Simon, how he said that there's this norm of, you know, you go school after school, you study after studying, you know, you get work. I don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think on that thing, if I have to look at that, I'm very fortunate to have parents the way I did. I mean, my parents, whatever we did, like I said, my brother, when he did something, he did it 100%. But my parents were, in a sense, when we did sport 100%. You know, and sport was always going to be something in my life, and they saw, I think, potential at some point. And from there on forward, they were like, listen, this is, you're going to focus on this. I mean,
That's incredible.
I was also like, I thought after school, that's the norm, you know, you go study, and like, that's everyone speaks about that, applying for universities, applying for that. And my parents, they were
Beautiful little rat race for the whole world to just slot into.
Absolutely. And my parents just know, like, if you want to cycle, that's what you're going to do, but you're going to do it 100%. You're not, there's no half-assing this, you know. And they supported me 100% with everything. I mean, from grade 11 to grade 12, I mean, we managed to work out the academic side, we managed to work out the sports side. We managed everything well. If you manage your time properly, there's time for everything. And
So grade 11, you're sitting with your family, planning out your academic and sports schedule.
Yeah.
With the full support of mom and dad.
Yeah, but mostly like, okay, so how are we going to get this race in before this exam?
That's not normal. That is
it's not normal.
Fundamentally different. I mean, I'm a parent of a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And a 17, 14, and 10 and 6-month-year-old. I cannot bring myself to thinking about sitting there and saying, okay, this is how we're going to plan your professional sport career
around
and school. It's just like, sadly, I'm entirely engulfed in the rat race.
Yeah,
that's big on them.
And
Did they see something, or did you feel something, or was it both?
I think it was from everyone.
Okay.
I mean, my parents would speak to people, and you know, I went for a test once at 15 with Marc Pritzen at Finish Line Cycles.
Okay.
And I'd never cycled really before that. But my brother said, listen, he's going to pay for a test to go do, like, just to see where you're at, because I can ride a bike, but they just wanted to know, like, you know, let's test them and see.
Let's get some numbers.
My brother paid for the test. I went to Marc Pritzen. And my parents were sitting outside at Mimo's having a pizza and a glass of wine while I was doing my little thing.
God bless you, Benoni. Mimo's for pizza and a wine. It's like if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. And I did the test, and afterwards Mark came out and went and spoke to my parents and said, listen, like, this kid's pushing the same numbers as the Europcar juniors, you know, and above some of the other kids' numbers. And he's never really ridden. So they were trying to explain, like, can you imagine what we can do if we actually work with
this? This is the raw.
Yeah. So my parents had a lot of that, you know, like a lot of people telling them, listen, but so they obviously also listened.
Okay.
And so it wasn't just from my side where I'm like, listen, I really want to race my bicycle.
So they've taken good scientific input, if you will.
Yes.
And was mom or dad particularly athletic? Did they do any great things in their time, or was this unprecedented? Or you and your brother just this...
No,
freak of nature.
I'd say if my dad had the opportunities, he would have. He was a soccer player when he was younger. Okay. But for my grandparents, it was also, again, after school, you go to the army, you know, and my dad had to do that. My dad didn't have those opportunities. So when my dad had my brother, or my parents had my brother, they then got you know, one day my dad came home with a motocross bike, like a little bike, and it's like, you know, this is the opportunity I never had then he gave it to my brother, and my brother started riding motocross. So everything my parents had ever done was, because the opportunities they didn't have. And I mean, my mom also had a very hard upbringing. I think she went to like 10 different schools in Germany, Namibia, everywhere. She even lived in Durbanville, where I live now, for a while apparently. So she's been everywhere. So I think with that was that my parents always supported us, and I think that's made the difference in our lives. We never not had support.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I've met and know your parents, and you can see there's a profound, deep sense of love and support there, which every parent has, but theirs is different.
I think they live themselves into it.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And I wonder how much your dad feels like he left on the table and could have done that he never got to. It'd be awesome to know. Have you ever asked him?
I have not.
What do you think you left on the table? Like maybe he's like, I could have been there. I could have been with Bafana when they won the CAF Cup.
I can't say. I haven't asked him, but if I were to guess what his response would have been, he would say he has no regrets with what he's done with his children. Yeah. He's, been there every single step of the way with all of us.
All in.
Yeah, even my sister, I mean, like on that end as well. I mean, she did, dancing and all that. They supported her on that end as well. But my brother took a little bit of preference there with the motocross because it took so much time.
Yeah. I'm sitting thinking now to divide yourself amongst 3 kids and be that all in.
Yeah.
And somehow derive income to support all these hobbies.
That was the other thing. And as soon as I started running, my parents were like, "Oh, you're good at running, so we're going to stop the motocross. We're going to start keeping you with running because it's so much cheaper to buy a piece, a pair of tackies or something."
Pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Okay. No. So your cycling career, where does that start? Grade 11, you're planning the schedule.
Yep.
Who are you riding for at that point? What does Marc Pritzen's cycling life look like then?
So, riding for Finish Line Cycles with Clint Curtis. I mean, my mentor for my whole cycling career. He has been there with everything as much as my parents has. Like, as soon as he saw me, he took me under his wing and, helped me with bikes, kits, and you name it. And even bringing Rudy Project at the time to support me. And now again, I'm back with Rudy Project, and still the same people there and all that. And
come full circle.
Exactly. So yeah, then
still chat to Clint?
I do.
How's he doing?
Good. No, good.
Miss Clint, absolute legend. For anyone that doesn't know, Clint has a renowned bicycle shop called Finish Line Cycles in Kempton Park. Yeah. And he's supported Mark among other people through the way. He's a diehard supporter of the industry just a cycling passion.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Absolutely.
Love Clint. We must send him the link to this when it's done. I'm sure he'll enjoy watching his little prodigy having come all the way. Okay, so Clint takes you under his wing from then, and you, what's the plan? What are you doing?
So it was basically mountain bike races. It was school series, Ashburton, Trail Seeker, all those races. We did everything. I mean, we put probably 50,000 Ks on that Fortuner that year, just up and down 2 races. My parents didn't let me miss a race. I was there. I mean, the one race I had a broken scapula.
Is that you just saying I want to race everything? Is that them saying I want to race everything? Or someone saying mutual. There's a plan?
No, I think
let's go race.
Yeah, it was just mutual. Okay. I think everyone just there's a race, let's do it. And everyone was so driven and the passion was there, you know. So we did all those races. Then one race, Malcolm Lange spoke to my dad and asked my dad about, I think it was the youth festival in Swadini, and asked my dad about me and where I'm from and all that. And that was actually quite a pivot, I would say very important part of my life, because then the next year I signed with BCX. That was with Malcolm Lange's road team.
Oh, really? Did you race with that team?
I raced there with Nolan, Clint, David, Steve, and Chris Ewerster.
Jesus, and OGs.
Yeah, and and I have I have a lot to thank for when it comes to that year. I learned so much from Nolan. Nolan literally, he guided me through my whole first race win at Krimitat.
Okay.
Literally just follow his wheel, move around, and then at one point I just had to decide when to sprint, and I won the race.
Sure.
And
That's right.
yeah, so I have a lot to thank to those boys. You know, they really made a big difference.
How old are you at that point?
That's my first year out of school, so I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that, BCX obviously was no longer. Then
How long were you with them for?
1 year.
Okay, 1 year.
And then I went over to Office Guru, the bra pack.
Yeah. They've also seen a few guys through the younger days of early racing. Are they still going?
No. No. But Jamie still supports everything. Jamie Taylor, I mean, he's
not running the team anymore.
No. Still got he has an absolute heart of gold. You know, just does everything in the good of everyone else. Like, he really just supports cycling and loves sport as such.
His reputation precedes him. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah,
okay, so
sure.
you were involved with him as well. How did you find him? How did that come to be?
He messaged me. I'm not going to lie. The first time he messaged me was at Kruger National Park. I saw a message come through. Hi, my name is Jamie. I'm from Office Guru and all that. And funny enough, I actually thought it was Travis's mom that messaged me, Megan Barrett.
Yeah.
Or Cassandra's mom.
Okay.
Because I heard Jamie, and I know a Jamie as a female.
Yeah.
So when he messaged me, I was like, "Hi, it's so nice to meet you." Like, when I saw Jamie the first time, full of tattoos,
so funny.
Yeah, full of tattoos, no hair, like
catfish.
Yeah. He says he tries to make himself look as unapproachable as possible, but he's still the biggest teddy bear.
Yeah.
So
funny.
Yeah. Then he messaged me, and I was quite keen. I wanted to do a little bit more of a leadership role. After being with Nolan and them, I mean, that's just the norm, I think, in any sport. Like, okay, cool, I've raced with these boys now. I've learned from them. I want to try and go and apply it now and be more like the A rider, if that makes sense. And then 2019 came and was probably one of my favorite years racing a bicycle. Had a great vibe around the team. Won 947, Tour of Good Hope.
Sure.
Just like, I don't know, everything just gelled. Was under 23 national champion that year. And then, I mean, that was a year where I really like found myself as like, okay, this is something I want to do.
I was going to ask that. So is that up until that point, is there a part of you that intuitively knows, like, I'm good enough to win, like, I've got what it takes? Or is that something that comes as a result of Nolan leading you to a win? Or you riding with someone and seeing like, oh, shit, this is a guy I looked up to, I could stick with him? Like,
I think,
was that always just there?
I think I just gained a lot of confidence that year. And I went overseas that year as well. In 2019 was to Spain. And I raced in the front. I raced up there with the guys. But I had a big crash and I had to come back to South Africa. I had an infection in my leg. And I mean, that's okay. So then there was the first hiccup when going to Europe. So it didn't work out that year. Came back, raced 947, won 947. Okay, so then the hope goes up again, you know? So from there on, it was actually everything changed because I actually started talking to Kevin Campbell at the end of that year. And then was in the talks of going to Dimension Data at the time. Then obviously in 2020, they changed their name to NTT. And signed the contract, and 2020 I moved over to Italy.
How do these conversations with these teams come up? Is it like, and who's negotiating them? Because it's, I've had a few conversations with people, they sign these contracts, like, who reads that with you? How technical are they? How onerous are they? Is mom and dad reviewing them? Does it go to a lawyer? Like, what does that process actually look like? I've never received the pro contract.
Yeah, so I mean, also haven't actually received a pro contract. I mean, a contract. At the time, it's all continental level. So it's not actually that much. Like, it's not that, there's not big money involved or anything like that. I mean, continental level, I think you earn €500 a month. So it's not a lot of money. But I mean, it's also who you know. So a lot of people need to put in a good word for you to actually make it into those teams. And I mean, again, then I had Clint. He has a good, close relationship with Kevin. And then it's like putting in a good word every now and then seeing. So there's a lot of, the belief behind you that also, so you build confidence within yourself, but also by doing that and getting results, you're building confidence in everyone else. And everyone else starts backing you a little bit more. And then they start talking and then the word gets out.
And Office Guru, was that a part of that? I mean, obviously there's get a whole bunch of wins racing with them.
Yes.
What's the vibe like in that team? Is that extremely like corporate pressure, expecting a result?
Drink beer and bra. And I shit you not, we were on our way to races. We would stop next to
that's
the road,
hilarious.
pull out the, little pop-up bra, and
For
carry
anyone
on.
that doesn't know, how much do you love to bra?
No, I love it. Absolutely do it. I mean, last night we had curry and I was braing the rotis.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So, I mean,
Any excuse to bra.
any excuse to bra.
Okay, so very relaxed, and that's obviously boded well. I mean, how serious are you taking it at that point? Are you all in, yeah? Are you watching diets? Are you training program?
If I had to look at what I'm doing right now and what I was doing back then, we were screwing around.
Okay.
We were absolutely screwing around. I mean,
you say the talent was carrying you more than the training was? at that
100%. But I mean, I would say I was training 10 to 12 hours a week.
Sure.
10 to 12 hours a week, eating burgers, braing. I mean, I don't eat sweets as is. I'm not that type of guy. I don't like sugar as much, so I didn't have that problem. But I just ate whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. So yeah, if I look at now, I can't even compare.
Okay.
Can't even compare. Yeah.
Interesting. Yet you chalked up all those wins.
Yeah.
So that's Office Guru closes, then NTT opens up. Is that a step up?
Massive.
Okay.
Massive. I mean, Office Guru is great in South Africa, but if you want to make it in cycling, you have to go to Europe. So went over to Europe, did one race, and it was quite a good race. It was a big race, actually. It was a UCI, I think, 2.1, and I finished the race, which is...
Explain UCI for anyone that isn't familiar with how that works.
So... yeah, you get UCR races. So I'm not 100% sure if 2.1, 1.1, which one's the stronger one. But I mean, those races, you get the pro teams coming into the race. The World Tour teams can also come into those races. At the time, there were more pro teams than World Tour teams coming to those races, just because there were so many races before COVID. Now, obviously, a lot of races have fallen away, so the World Tour teams start ending up coming to these smaller races.
So UCI use this number system to determine if you can't enter a UCI one race.
No.
You have to qualify.
You have to be invited, if that makes sense, yeah.
So the one that you entered was a 2.1.
Yeah.
Which you can't just rock up and do.
No, you can't just rock up and do.
Earn the right and the results to be there.
The reason we were there is because the World Tour wasn't interested in the race, so then the Continental team can get to go. So they can hand it down to the Conti team, but it has to be a feeder team.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't necessarily know how that works. I still don't fully, which is why I ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to, where is that race?
Was it Italy?
Italy?
Italy, yeah.
Can you remember the name of it?
I can, but it slipped my mind now. It was actually not too long ago, and I remember
I'll find it in Strava if I scroll back.
100%, yeah.
Because then we can screen grab that e-roll to see how hard you really were.
Yes, you can. I'll find the file for you and I'll add it to this. But yeah, I remember who won it that year was Julian Giacconi, which, I mean, in its own, just shows you how big that race was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you do?
I think I got 40-something, I think.
Okay.
Or 50th, but I was around about there.
And relative to where that was to the front of the race?
Were you very,
is that why you considered a good result?
Very close to being pulled off for time cut.
Really?
Yeah. No, not many people finish these one-day races. If you go look at the one-day races in Europe, especially Italy, France as well, Spain, I mean, it's the front bunch and then they pull the rest of the race off, especially if there's laps involved.
Shit.
No.
Tough.
No, it's really hard.
Okay, so that's your first race there.
Yeah.
And what does that lead to next? What does the belief of that result do for you?
This is where I'd say my cycling changed. So 2020 came, went over to Europe, did one race, did well in that one race, and then COVID hit. So I find that cycling as such in that time changed 180 degrees, because we went into 2020 saying, okay, you are 19 years old going on 20. You are now, was turning 20 going 21. You are young. you know, we're going to work with you, we're going to develop you, then eventually you'll make the step up to the World Tour team if you're good enough, get the results, and if you, you know, react well to the whole
team
procedure.
feedback to you, NTT.
Yes.
Got you.
At the end of 2020, we were basically told we were too old. The 2020 season with COVID went from being young and like, you know, having to work through the whole process, going through the whole, you know, how it used to work back in the day. But by the end of 2020, when COVID had struck, we were too old because of the young riders that were coming through within all of a sudden. Like, I mean, it changed so quickly. And if you look at it now, I mean, everyone at 2020, the beginning of 2020, we had Chris Froome and all those guys up there. We had Alberto Contador, obviously a little bit before that, but just to paint a picture, 30 years old, 31 years old, you know, that was the prime. Now, the prime is 20 years old, 21 years old. And if you haven't made it by then, if you haven't made it straight out of juniors, the chances that you make it are very slim.
Sure. And what do you think drove that?
I have no idea. I mean, the youth just became so strong.
I wonder if it's... I was watching that. I loathe indoor training. Like, do it, particularly in Joburg, you have to do it quite a lot.
Yeah.
Just didn't feel safe otherwise. And winter here is obviously immensely cuck. So you have to get on the trainer. But how... If you watch that GCN program, they follow the Zwift series and who wins it, whatever. And they were saying that with those two guys that run... is it EF? The two main Okies? No, it's not. It's Van der Poel's team.
Alpecin.
Alpecin.
Yeah.
So it's those two guys that work with the World Tour team. And they're like the indoor training thing, the Zwift Academy just blew the whole world open.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you're not waiting for Clint's feeder program to like feed good talent up.
Yeah.
You've got a computer screen that'll tell you, here's your top 100 riders based on numbers.
There's a number.
And then you hope they can handle a bike.
Yeah.
So that probably played a role.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. But I mean, also, like if you're the guys like Remco and all that, they all arrived at once. It was Remco, it was Pogacar.
We're in a golden era.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, that changed it for everything. I know a lot of the World Tour teams are actually changing their feeder teams to under 20, not to under 23 anymore.
Okay.
So yeah,
what did that mean for Marc?
I mean, it didn't change anything for me. But what did change a lot for me was that as soon as COVID lifted just a little bit, that like the restrictions and that we were allowed to race again, and obviously it was a bleak time. I mean, I was stuck in Italy. I was on an indoor trainer doing the hours that I was supposed to.
The whole time COVID's happening, you in Italy still?
I was watching the Argus, and we were already in lockdown in Italy.
Yeah.
And
could you not come back because...
No, it was already, everything was shut down. Airports were closed. We were not allowed to travel anymore. And I mean, also, I went over to become a cyclist. I wasn't going anywhere. I was staying there.
Okay,
you know,
regardless, if you could have come back...
But no one knew what was actually happening. No one knew.
What's the team telling you?
Just, you know, stay put. They told us the pros are allowed to ride outside, but they said also the hospitals are so full, please, we're not going to take any chances. Stay indoors. We had food delivered to our house. We were doing...
Training program?
20 hours a week still, 22 hours a week.
Who's telling you what to do?
We had coaches that side.
Okay, from the team.
Yeah, but they didn't really tell us much with training. We were just so bored. We didn't have any TV to watch or anything like that. We had enough Wi-Fi to run a Zwift, so then we raced on Zwift, we rode on Zwift. Yeah.
Are you in a house with a bunch of people?
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, it was myself, 2 New Zealand riders, and then Italian.
Yeah. How's your headspace at that point in time?
Scared. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how long this was going to go on for. And then I think I just found food as a comfort. And then I just dug into Nutella and rice and tuna. And I went into COVID 73 kgs. I came out of COVID at 81 kilograms.
That sounds like my December.
So yeah, it was rough. It was really rough. And then
what is that post-COVID then?
So why I say it changed a lot for me in cycling was that as soon as COVID then was over, not over, lifted restrictions, we went to a race in Slovenia. First little crit was like an evening crit race, was a UCI race. The night before the actual UCI race, there was like a little crit we did. And I got 7th in that race. And I was like, okay, so obviously the training in lockdown, everything helped. It worked pretty well.
Are you 81 at this point?
I think I got down to like 79.
Okay.
So then the next day I race and I had a massive crash. Something happened on the right-hand side of the bunch. I don't know what happened. Touch of wheels on the right-hand side of the bunch squeezed to the left, and there were barriers that had feet that came like this. And I was freewheeling with my left foot down. And my left foot went into that barrier, and all those barriers are chained to each other. So as soon as my foot went in there, it just pulled the bike straight out underneath me. I went straight to my face. I don't remember anything. I was told. I woke up in hospital in those gurney things with your neck all braced up, arms braced in, legs fuss. So you actually cannot move even if you try. And I had cycling shoes on, so I couldn't even see if my toes are moving. And I didn't know what was going on because I was like just laying there.
You've woken up in hospital now? So
Yes.
You've been out for a while?
I've been out for a while. Apparently I was conscious, but I just can't remember anything.
Okay.
And I didn't speak the language. I was in Slovenia. And I didn't have a doctor there that was English that could tell me actually like why am I here? I didn't know I was racing. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't speak the language. So probably the scariest moment of my life, like not knowing, like that it was quite terrifying. Yeah, then later that night, obviously the team arrived, the manager, Kevin Campbell, got there, and yeah, I had surgery then on my jaw because this part of the skin was torn off of my jaw. I had lip open all the way forward. They had to stitch that back. They had to stitch my jaw back. They broke my nose straight again. I broke my collarbone. Luckily, all the teeth were fine. That was my scariest thing. I just didn't want to lose my teeth. Yeah, and I mean, that whole procedure, I mean, was also...
So we have
crazy.
the doctors to thank for that jawline.
Yes.
Not natural.
No, it's not natural. No, she said to me,
That is
the dentist that put my skin back onto my jaw, she said to me that is a process they do if they reconstruct your jaw. So I actually had I had the last thing done from the...
So actually, Mark went to Slovenia for a touch-up.
Yeah.
You didn't have to invent the whole cycle story. Like, I'm going to go Strava stalk you. I want to see facts.
Yes.
No, that sounds horrific. How long are you out for?
I got on the bike 3 days later.
3 days.
Yes, they couldn't operate. I had a roastie on my shoulder, so they had to wait for the roastie to cover.
Broken collarbone.
Broken collarbone. I had to wait 2.5 weeks for operation for that roastie because it's basically
a trainer.
dirt.
Surely not.
Yeah, on the trainer. So
Why 3 days? Is that Marc Pritzen just wants to get back on the bike?
what else was I going to do? I was in a team house with 3 Africans, 4 Italians, 2 Kiwis. You know, so
Like Cassandra.
No Cassandra. No one to help me take my shirt off or anything like that. Like it was just basically drop your shit off at the front door and off you go. You know.
Okay.
So I mean,
Do you feel quite lonely in that moment?
It was scary. I must say. I can't say I was depressed because I don't think I was depressed, but I was scared. Yeah. No, Europe. My experience.
A general sense of just fear.
Yeah. I mean, also waking up from the operation. You wake up, and again, you don't speak the language. Now I'm in Italy, so they operate the collarbone. It feels like someone's sitting on it, and I'm just asking. I want more like pain medication because it was the most horrific experience of a collarbone. And I did break a collarbone before, so I know what it feels like. But that operation was not normal.
Yeah.
I mean, afterwards, there's no one in the room. You wake up, you phone or you call the nurse. You can't speak the language. They don't understand what you want. You know, and you feel very isolated at that stage. So not a nice experience.
Heavens. How does this whole moment end? NTT, Italy.
I ended up
Did you
racing.
get back on the bike that season?
Yeah.
Did you go out and race again?
Continued racing. Finished the European season. Came back to South Africa, and I'm gonna tail between my legs. They were like I signed.
Is that the feeling you have coming back from
Yes. I mean, I think I enjoyed the fame of it more than I enjoyed riding there. just because like, this, you're racing overseas now, you got the NTT kit, okay, it doesn't say World Tour, it says Continental, but no one reads that fine
I
print.
remember those kits, every one of your kits. I was like, fuck, that is so cool.
And everyone, the way they react to you
Is
like,
so cool.
You're there, you're racing there, like, everyone's like looking up to you. And I think that part of it was so cool. So then I signed the contract again. They wanted me back for next year because apparently at the end of the year I was still doing quite well and they saw potential and under 23 you still got another year. Let's do it. And I had the legs, I had good legs at the time and came back, did my whole off season here. Everything again delayed going into the 2021 season. COVID still, lingering in the background and all that. SA Champs being postponed, and then you get the phone call saying, okay, you can choose. You can either come and race this race or you wait for SA Champs, but you can't do both because it's too close to each other. And at the time, I'm still scared to go back. Obviously, everything that happened the previous year. So now I'm like, okay, now I'll stay in South Africa, because I get to be more time with my family, I can, my loved ones and all that. And thank God I did. I mean, that year I won under 23 time trial champion, under 23 road and elite. That's the year I won the overall race for the South African Championships. And yeah, I mean,
how much did that mean to you?
It was massive, but I don't think it did me any good. You go overseas, you've got this flag. No, it's like a little massive target because if anyone sees that flag, it means you can win a race. And it didn't. Yeah.
But to you as Mark, like little kid dreaming what it could do one day.
I've never thought of it.
You don't, eh?
No.
I've asked you this question.
I've never.
Many ways differently. It's almost. I know you hate losing.
No.
But it's almost like you don't race to win the race and the spectacle. It's like you just want to be the best person that was out there. It's really nuanced. Like if I asked you what race means the most to you, what comes to mind? First race that pops into your head. What victory means the most? It's like anyone else that's won as many as you have would tell you like, it's X1.
I can't tell you. No, honestly, I can't tell you.
So why does winning matter?
It's the only thing.
Baked into you.
It's why we train. It's why we wake up in the morning. I mean, if you wake up, and I mean, people can argue with me on this now. They say, no, that's just because it's fun. That's bullshit. Because if you wake up every morning and you go do 4 or 5 hours on your bike, and you come home and you don't have that pancake, you're going to have that rice and that tuna, and then you go, you do all the things right. You don't have your Coke, you have your Coke Zero. You focus on all those little things. And then you start a race and you don't reward yourself with a win. You can't say that's satisfying. Doesn't matter how much you tell me that cannot be satisfying. You have to reward yourself for the work that you put in. And for me, that is the big thing. If I put the work in, I want to reward myself. And what doesn't matter what race it is. And for me, I've learned that it doesn't matter how big or how small the race is. It doesn't.
Winning.
It's about winning. It's a small. I mean,
There's no one I've spoken to that speaks about winning the same as you do. Your viewpoint on winning a race, it's very German.
Stubborn.
I can't explain it. It's like it's. I mean, I know you enjoy, and it's not like victories don't mean anything to you. I know that they do, and you enjoy them, but it's never. I mean, I'd be the exact opposite. I'd be like, I'd fucking lose my mind if I got an SA jersey. Like that would be, and I know that you do, but it's not. It's not for the gram. It's like there's a fame.
You have
flamboyance about race victories that doesn't seem to.
You have your goals, obviously. Yeah. I mean, you work towards certain goals and everything. And those goals, if you don't achieve them, you've put a lot of time and effort into it. And to me, I actually mourn after losing a race that I've worked for. Like, I mean, there was this 1947 where I got second. It pissed me off so much. I mean, it was 2 years in a row. It pissed me off so much that I was literally for 2 weeks after, I felt depressed. Like, I'm not depressed, but I just felt like beside myself. I was just like, everything I was doing, I was just thinking about this race. I was like, could I have done anything different? Could I have changed this result?
Okay.
And I know
Toil over it.
Yeah, you can, and because there's no other races that year
Yeah.
to like go and like, okay, cool, this didn't work, going for the next one. There wasn't anything like
gaps
that.
are so big.
That's the last race of the year. So now I'm like, I have to wait for next year.
Pass.
You know.
And in reflecting on those, like how objective are you? Do you take positives out from there? Is it whether your
Absolutely.
fault? Did you do things wrong?
No,
Did you train
absolutely.
harder?
I mean, I say now that I focus on only winning, and it's the only thing, and it's all this. But I have also found that in my personal experience, the races that I've enjoyed the most, and like, are the races that I gave my absolute everything, and I couldn't have changed anything. And I've found more of those races lately than winning, where I've literally laid everything out on the line. I did everything to what I know I can do, and the result wasn't there. But I can go home and I can be happy with myself for that. But
As long as you didn't leave anything on the table.
exactly. So winning is everything, as long as I did, you know, and if I don't win, as long as I did everything in my,
Okay.
you know, what I was
I think that's a
capable
good
of.
outlook to have. And I want to go back to NTT. Year 2, you don't go back. You stay in South Africa, you have a good run.
Yeah.
What is the gap between that and that gorgeous pink EF kit? Does that not just follow that?
No, it's 2-year gap from NTT, because it'll be NTT 2020, 2021, Quebecer, ASOS, 2022, Honeycomb, then 2023, EF.
Goodness. Going into each of these, I mean, there's Honeycomb's been the longest, most constant. Even at EF, you're obviously still in contact
Yes.
with the team. There's a good rapport there. What is there something that you specifically look for in a team, like when you're going at the end of the years? I know that you're the second person now that's spoken about a contract, 3 years. This is the plan, develop, and if. And the other person that spoke about it, nothing materialized either. It's like year 1 happened, there's COVID, there's all this other stuff seems to happen. And I'm guessing that's fairly normal in the elite cycling world, these wonderful plans that don't always come to fruition. Do you like get to the end of each year and think, what is the race team that best suits me for my goals? Or is it who slides into the DMs and gives you the best offer? Like what informs those next 3 things?
The goals of the team and the goals of what that I have, if they're aligned.
Okay.
I mean, if the team is focusing on road, and my goals are a little bit more to the mountain biking sides, it's conflict waiting to happen, because I'm going to focus my season around the mountain biking, where the road team or where another team wants you to focus on the road, and you're supposed to be peaking at this point, but your goal is at that point.
Pulling in different directions.
You know, and then there's just conflict. So
Quebec, I'm assuming you still rode before then.
yes, I mean, the opportunity on the road presented itself. That's why I chose the
It's them
road.
coming to you proposition.
Yes, you know, and that started with Malcolm. Malcolm gave me the opportunity on the road. I mean, I did some races on the mountain bike, but the road was the priority. 2019 also, the same, was the road team. That was the priority. So the opportunities presented itself on the road.
Okay.
So I actually never made a decision to do one or the other.
Those were the opportunities
Yes,
you
those
got.
are the opportunities I got. So I went with them, and in my opinion, I tried. I saw them out, and I tried my best in every one opportunity that I got. I gave it my absolute all. But there were different factors in Europe that always got me. I mean, it was the time away from home. It was the crashing. These are the things that no one sees. You go scroll on Instagram and everyone's having a bra while you're sitting in an apartment on your own. It's a sunny day in Europe. It doesn't sound that shit, but
Sounds pretty good.
it's you see it, and you're scrolling, and everyone's having a jaw, like everyone's with family and all that, and you are one man in your apartment, and you just have no one around you, no one's telling you to do anything, no one, like, it sounds very good, but it's just very lonely, you know. And then you go off to a race, and then every night you go to sleep, you're like, oh, you know what, I hope tomorrow night I can sleep this comfortable again, because chances are you're probably going to crash, you know. Road cycling has just become like that. The crashing is just the norm these days. Yeah, I mean, there was there were not many nights that I went to bed and I didn't have a roastie on my arse or on my elbow, and then you can't lay on that side and you sleep cuck, your bedding's full of blood, like things like that. And I got over that, and I think that for me, all of those things, it took the love away from it, and it didn't also, I couldn't perform at the potential. I couldn't also put the time and the effort in that I wanted to because I wasn't happy anymore. That was the 2019. You asked me if I was on a diet. No, I wasn't on a diet. You asked me how strict we were. We weren't very strict with anything. We were sleeping, anything. We're just happy. And being happy gives you the results at the end of the day. And this will bring me on to 2022. 2022, Honeycomb gave me the opportunity to race for them. And I mean, if it wasn't for them, I probably would have stopped cycling. I was very close to calling it after that season.
The Quebecer.
After the Quebecer season.
Okay.
Because I was out of under 23 and I was just like, okay, well, I know what's happening with the cycling world. You have to be young or you have to be really good and win a race and then get picked up like that. But I've been there and I know, like, okay, Europe, not really my thing at the moment. It's like it's killing me a little bit. So
You made peace with that.
I made peace with that. And when everyone asked me, like, why did you come back? And I was not good enough. I mean, and then everyone's like, bullshit, you're great. And look at what you do in South Africa. And I'll be like, yeah, but that's how I can't do that in Europe. I mean, you can be as great as you want, but if you're in Europe and you're not happy, you're not getting the results, I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting the team's time, So that's the way I saw it.
I always felt like there was like you have to go and make Europe work to consider like the job's done.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
No, and
like, why do you have to make that work? This is my personal
for sure.
experience conversing to you, having one of those dirty chai lattes at the end of the Atlas Sicilisti. And it felt like there was this like, and I'm familiar with this emotion, like I have to go and do it. Like I'm letting someone down if I don't go and do it.
Yeah. And
is that fair?
Yes.
Did you get a sense of that? Like,
yes. I mean, again, then you have the thing with with my parents. Like my parents have always supported me, so you never want to let them down. And I got to a point when I was doing it for everyone else, but for myself. And I think that's where over the last couple of years I've actually matured a lot and realizing that what I want to do with my cycling and my athletic career. And just living in a team house and all of those things, like your living scenario. I'm a clean guy. I like my stuff the way I like it. I like like little things, I like my toilet. I like my kitchen. I like my fridge, I don't like sharing that shit. Like I don't like doing that, Okay, it's different when you're in a part, like going to a hotel or whatever like that and you share with a teammate. But if it's actually the place that you base yourself and then you're sharing it with 6 or 7 other guys, and 6 or 7 other guys. I mean, it's
with different living habits,
cultural, and I mean also we eat a lot. It's a lot of food that gets made. It's a lot of food that goes in and out of the fridge. It's a lot of shit everywhere all the time. I'm not going to go there, but it's a lot of things, and not if one guy slacks, the next guy slacks, and the next guy slacks, and it's just like a snowball effect.
I'd lose my mind.
And that was the living scenarios I found myself in. And for some people it's fine. For some people it's normal. Some people they're like, oh well, cool. I've got my opportunity in Europe and I'm happy. But if I'm not happy, and those things make me happy, having a clean environment, then I won't be able to do it. Like, I had to. Yeah, there were different scenarios. It wasn't just the cycling as such. It wasn't the language barrier. There were a lot of things.
Culmination of all of them.
Yes, that really like got to me.
If you're not happy, you're not going to perform.
Yeah.
And Mark wasn't happy in Europe. I guess that's the...
Yeah.
And I could never make Europe work. I did a week in the south of France, went to Nice. I was supposed to go to Vince. He let me down. Fuck you, Vince. For work. I mean, of all those silly things. And kidding. I had a week there on my own.
Yeah.
And I was like, went and did the Cipressa and Italy and Monaco. I was like, this fuck is amazing. By that last day, I couldn't get home quick enough.
Oh.
Like, wonderful for a week to live off the back of the life we live in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean,
absolutely.
You want to. So more South Africans need to go and live abroad to realize how good we got it.
Absolutely.
Here. Whether you're in Joburg or Potch or Cape Town or we live a fucking good lifestyle. Yeah. It is horrendously tough over there.
Yeah.
And you miss home. And also, of course, your wife, the comfort of your home. It for me would be completely untenable. I could never make that work.
And I mean, a lot of people say, go to Europe, you can walk in the streets at night, you can feel safe, you can leave your door unlocked. I mean, it's changing that side. A lot of people move away and end up coming back. South Africa, I mean, we have our problems, but at the end of the day, you got to choose which problems you want to have. If you go in Europe, you'll probably end up living in an apartment. You won't have a garden. You won't have, in that sense, we have freedom because we have space. We don't live on top of each other, So there's a lot of different things that you're just gonna switch problems, to be honest with you. If you come from this side to that side,
Someone gave me a really good quote. An employee of ours that lives in Mauritius that said, if you're going towards something, you'll enjoy things a lot more there. If you're going there for something rather than running away from something.
No.
If you're leaving a place because of something negative, wherever you're going, you'll find more trouble there. But if you're going towards something there, it's a different mindset.
Absolutely.
If you'll go, then you'll enjoy that thing that you're going there for rather than running away from something.
Absolutely.
So in the spirit of that, and leaving things and going towards something, you down and out coming back from Europe 2, Mark 0. You come back, what's the honeycomb story? How does that unfold?
It gave me opportunity to race my bike. That was it. Carl phoned me, who wanted to know what my plans are. Mark had this dream, Marc van der Merwe had this dream of these are the riders that he would want in a South African team. And he signed all of them.
So is this OG honeycomb day 0?
Yes.
So Carl and Mark has a dream.
Yeah.
Carl has a dream.
And they made something.
And you part of that original.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
What was the dream?
There was teams before that, but I think this was the first proper elite team.
Okay.
Got those 2 Mini Coopers, so we were styling.
Oh, yeah.
And
those things are lekker.
Yeah, and then basically from there on out, we went to races and we went. I mean, obviously there was always expectations but also it was a new team, so Honeycomb was learning everyone was learning from each other and all that, because I mean I've just come back from Europe, got other guys that are wanting to go over to Europe, and just everything just gelled. We got the vets team as well, they were part of it, so everyone was training together, laughing together, having coffee together.
That's Loopy, Trav,
yes,
that era. Okay.
Yes.
So they ran that alongside the elite team.
Yes.
Same time.
Yes.
Okay.
So we went to 12 Good Hope, we got one accommodation, and it was chaos. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
Byron's still racing then as well, huh?
Yes, Byron racing his single bike at the time.
Single bike at the time.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Now we're really going back.
Yeah, now we're going back all the way.
Byron could gooi, yes, that devoured me in Pomona more times than I can count.
To be honest with you, I think anything within Benoni was Byron's favourite.
Yeah.
If it was Stumper Thursday, if it was Pomona
He
Classic,
just loved to race.
Yeah.
Like balls to the wall. I love that about both those Mitchells actually. Like they just
absolutely.
don't go. If you want a zone 2 constant ride where you can keep your effort level,
Ride on your own.
do not ride with them. Like, they will dice you. You will be half-wheeled.
You will be attacked.
Love it.
Yeah.
So what was that dream? What was the goal? Like we want to set up an elite team and what?
I think the main goal was to win Cape Town Cycle Tour, because Mark at the time had not coached an athlete that has won Cape Town Cycle Tour, but he's won every other race with an athlete.
Okay.
But Cape Town Cycle Tour was the one that Marc van der Merwe was missing. And we were building up towards that. And I was actually working at Honeycomb. I said to them, okay, I'll sign with you guys, but I want to learn from you guys as well. So I went and I got all dressed up and I worked in the office. In the beginning, it was full days.
Yeah.
I was sitting there I wasn't doing much, but I was learning from everyone in the office.
Mark, I was there. I walked around your screen and you had that when you hover over a bicycle and it zooms in on the area. Well, I can't remember what bike it was. Could have been a Bianchi at the time.
Yeah.
This guy's sitting here, corporate, this big fucking iMac in the corporate office chair. He's like, yes, it looks, what's he working on? Fucking bicycle zoom. So I had a laugh. But you were there, you were working.
I was there.
Part of the deal, I want to learn.
Exactly, I want to learn. So, I mean, I joined in on meetings, shadowed Carl for a little bit. And I learned a hell of a lot, actually, for the little bit that I did. I actually learned quite a lot.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's actually no one better to learn from than if you think about Auntie Deirdre, which is the mom now of Carl and Byron. Uncle Greg.
You want to learn how to run a business.
Absolutely.
Deirdre is the person you want to learn from.
Exactly. I mean, her leadership skills are next level.
Yeah.
We've spoken about Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
Every single time I read that book, the theories that he has and the strategies he employs, I don't know to say.
Yeah.
It honestly, it makes me think of Auntie Deirdre every single time.
She's an absolute weapon.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of respect for her. I mean, everyone there, but when I look at Honeycomb, I'm like,
no, she's the beating heart.
The boss there. That is the boss lady.
Absolutely.
And that's, I mean, you can take those values and apply them anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so you worked.
So I worked there, and it was tough. Then we decided, okay, cool. After Cape Town Cycle Tour's epic, so then we planned that Christian and I were going to ride Cape Epic together. 2022. Okay, so Cape Town Cycle Tour that year. It was before Cape Town Cycle Tour. We always do Tour of Good Hope. That is just
Tour de Cap.
Tour de Cap, which is now. And I think it might have been Tour de Cap that year as well already. Anyway, so I'd also started feeling a little bit of pressure. I mean, I'd won Tour de Windhoek, but I had not won. I hadn't crossed the line first that year. So, and I was always helping Travis win. I was leading him out. I was helping Ricardo win, leading him out. But then at some point they were like, okay, cool. Like, all these riders are winning. When are you going to start winning? And I was like...
Did the team want you to fulfill that role, or did you self-elect to fulfill that role?
No, from the team started talking. Like, they never really approached me, but I started picking up on
But I mean, the guys before that, when you're helping Trav and them to win, was that...
No, that was...
team orders? Was that you making that call
on the road? I made a lot of those calls on the road.
Okay.
But it's pretty obvious because Travis, sprinter, Ricardo, sprinter. Okay. Get to a line, it's a sprint. I'm going to go on the front and I'm going to string this thing out as long as I can, and then you guys just have to come around me.
You were playing the role of road captain then already, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are your calls.
Yes.
We're riding for you today, Trav.
Yes.
Go get. Okay, got you.
And worked well. Team was winning. We won the overall with the race, and I actually managed to win the yellow jersey that year.
Yeah.
All credit to Ricardo that year, actually. He was... Ricardo Broxham,
yeah.
So he did a phenomenal job at that Tour de Windhoek that year. Anyway, so now I'm starting to feel pressure. Okay, Tour of Good Hope comes. Okay, stage one. Okay, I think Travis won stage one, so okay, worked out well. Then stage two, okay,
was the TT.
Didn't go as planned. Okay, stage three. I think it was the second last stage, and I started feeling this pressure more and more and more. And I was like, screw this. So I attack. 100 Ks from the finish, I attack. And I ride across to the breakaway. I get to the breakaway. I think it was Clint Hendricks there, and was one more rider. I can't remember who it was. I get to that breakaway. I roll through like twice with him, and I was like, no, we got to go. So I put the hammer down, and I actually ride those two off. I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but I was going. Eventually,
so now you've gone solo with how many to go?
I've gone solo with, I'd say, at that time it was like 95 Ks to go, 90 Ks to go. So I've gone solo. And I was going. I got 5 minutes on the road, on my own. Going up Halswigte, no problems, full feeling good. Down the other side, Halswigte. You get to a T-junction there, turn right towards Franschhoek, and there's a headwind.
Oh.
That headwind broke me, not just physically, but mentally.
Yeah.
So now I'm sitting there and I'm all cross-eyed, going through this headwind, turning left. They caught me with 3 Ks to go.
Oh, heartache.
And it took me probably 40 minutes to get 3 Ks done. I blew so badly. And after that, we as a team just, like, okay, I tried, whatever. I was actually stiff after that. Like, my body was broken after that.
Okay.
And then the next best thing I did there was a week between the two races. So we had Tour of Good Hope or Tour de Cap, a week, and then August. So in that week, I knew I was doing Epic with Christian. So I was riding with Christian, doing some mountain bike rides, like 4 hours, 5 hours. And those 2 weeks that I rode with them whipped me into shape like you cannot believe. I went into Cape Town Cycle Tour, and we woke up that morning, and we had planned to ride for Travis and for Ricardo. And we woke up and it was just raining, it was windy, it was miserable. And on the way to the start, because we had the plan with Travis and Ricardo, because Travis, if he'll be in the front group, and then if Ricardo gets over later and he gets back to us, then we ride for Ricardo, but if Ricardo's not there, we ride for Travis. So that was the plan. And on the way to the start, Travis looks at me and he says to me, "You better win today." And I was like, "Sure, okay." And then also remembering Mark, also the night before, he took me to one side, said to me, "I think tomorrow is maybe you want your shot, don't actually work for the teammate. If there's opportunity there, take it." Okay. So I was like, okay, this is, there's something coming and the weather looks a little bit bleak and all that. And Cape Town Cycle Tour is mostly, it's nice weather.
When you saw that rain, did you see opportunity or did you see?
I saw chaos, but I did see opportunity.
Okay.
Because if there's chaos, there's definitely opportunities.
Yeah.
And Travis and I raced the beginning of that race. We raced on the front. We got into the first breakaway of the day because we had our gabbers on. They couldn't see our numbers. They couldn't see our kit. And everyone's glasses were so dirty. No one could see what was going on. So went up the road and no one realized we were there until they started reading the bike numbers and showing it backwards, and then they could see we were there.
Okay.
They eventually closed us, and then Casper went up the road. So okay, cool. So this is also not a bad situation, but we need to now be careful because, there's some fast guys up there with Casper. I think it wasn't Sasha Harbier was there, I think, with Casper. And Harbier is a track rider, he can sprint. Yeah. So, we eventually rode across to the breakaway on Smitswinkel. And then, we just, I don't know, the whole race was a little bit of a blur. We went to the finish line and we were 5 guys, I think. And sprinted, and I managed.
Where did that split happen, the 5? Is it not on Seikoborsi?
Seikoborsi, yes. So it happened on Chappies initially.
Chappies.
And then Seikoborsi, it splits again, and then we were that select group. And Sasha didn't want to work with me going down the other side of Seikoborsi. He was swearing at me, but I thought he was Italian. Meanwhile, he was German. I could have actually spoken to him. But then we sprinted and I actually won the Cape Town Cycle Tour. And I think that was just the biggest relief, not because of the race that I'd won, but because of the amount of pressure that I'd put on myself before knowing, okay, listen, everyone's winning races. I also need to, at some point win a race. I'm the one that came from Europe and racing in South Africa.
And then you go and you win.
And I win Cape Town Cycle Tour. And I think from there on out, we almost won every single race we lined up that year. And it was an awesome year. It was, again, a happy Mark, it was a fast Mark, and Auntie Deirdre always reminds me of that.
Yeah. She does good to remind you of it.
Yeah.
What did that result mean for the team? So this is the elite team is now being set up for the first time-ish. It's like the early formative days. Did that catapult you guys into a different league in terms of how people perceived you, and what did that mean for you?
I just okay, I finally won a race. I can still win a race. All is good in my head now. Now the pressure's off. Now we can go into the races. Don't worry, we won Cape Town Cycle Tour. And it changed a bit because then Ricardo left the team. Travis went overseas. Now the 2 riders that we were all the races in South Africa, sprinting races. If you look at the stages or one-day races, it's all sprinters. So now we lost the 2 riders that are basically I'd say the pillars of the team, because we all lean on them when, in any scenario, South Africa is a sprint, almost always. It doesn't matter if you go up Hackboard because it's in the beginning of the race, and the end of the race is still a sprint.
It's not tough enough to split,
Exactly. So, then we I don't know, we sort of managed it. I won sprints, don't know how. To this day, I've no idea how I've won sprints. And I won Amashova that year, and then I came second in 947. I was the closest I've gotten to winning all 3 in 1 year.
Yeah.
And again, all of those were sprints. So
who said you can't sprint? Who put that idea in your head?
Deirdre is probably smiling. She's going to tell you, you're right. But I don't see myself as a sprinter. Because I find myself, I can climb, I can do everything, but I'm good at everything, but I'm great at nothing. If that makes sense.
That's the biggest shit I've heard in my entire life. If I've learned anything sitting and talking with you in the last however long it's been, it's that the only obstacles in your life are the perception you have of yourself.
That's
That
probably
is
true.
the biggest load of shit I've ever heard in my life.
It's probably true.
I'm
It's
good at
probably
everything,
true.
I'm great at nothing.
No, but it is probably true. A lot of people have told me that. My biggest problem is me.
Yeah, that's you can now identify as a sprint. That North Shore Bullet, the poster that I was
Yeah.
showing you earlier, is unbeknownst to most the most prestigious sprint you can win. So come and join us for a Savage Tuesday, and if you win that, then you're officially South Africa's best sprinter.
Okay.
There's one guy there that'll give you a hard time, a very hard time.
Who?
No, you'll have to come see. Can't tell you.
It's probably you.
No. I try and win it from, so you have to be, it's somewhere in Noordhoek, is as much as I'll tell you.
But I know exactly because I
have you
was
seen
there.
it?
I was there the 1 year.
Yeah.
I let out
Oh,
count
then I
for
showed
it.
you.
Yes.
I want you to give the guys a hard time. Brendan, I'm sorry. So they intentionally keep it like low key,
Yeah.
undercovers. You have to be together at the village. You
Yeah.
can't attack on the descents because
Yes.
there's that people jump out there and it's like near death experience every
Yeah.
Tuesday. But the moment we get there, I try and go along because I have no fuck. I can't sprint. I am
Not believing in yourself.
average at some things and like good at none. Never mind the great when it comes to cycling, like actual weekend warrior. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. I mean, I remember that year, and the kit looked good back then. That was my favorite kit.
Oh, my favorite kit as well, yeah. I like
So
the-
good looking.
The design,
the tactic one with
yeah,
black.
the
face
design
up
was, yeah, I must say I enjoyed the design.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've still got one of those. I wish Carl had more. What happens after that?
Carl calls me into his office and asks me if I want to go back to Europe. My first reaction was no. I actually didn't want to go back to Europe.
That Europe bitch.
That Europe thing. So now, that was my initial response. But the more I lined up, or the more races we did, the more races I won. And the more I wonder, like, was I there too soon? You know, now if I go back, will it be different? You start thinking, you know, this whole thing starts rolling now, and
Yeah.
then the opportunity was there where to join Conti team with EF through Bosso. He was the manager there at the time, and Mark has a good relationship with him. Clint again has a good relationship with him because Clint and Bosso had started finish line together. And yeah, they put in a couple of good words. I sent my power files. Funny part of that was that we actually had to tweak my power files just a little bit just to make sure that I actually do get in like properly, because we were just not sure like if it was enough. So we sent my 5-minute power, we added like a couple of watts. Sent my 10-minute power, we added a couple of watts. Sent 20-minute power, we added a couple of watts. Got to the training camp, and now we're worried because like they said to me, I am like average, but maybe just a bit below. Got to the training camp, I won the hilltop climbing, I won the sprints, I won the time trial.
Can't sprint.
Yeah, but I mean, like that was me tweaking my power. Everyone must have been doing it because they said to me, no, my stuff's below average. Okay. So no.
Yes, that's intimidating.
Yeah, and then I went there and I actually was at one of the.
Where was that training camp?
Calpe, Spain.
Okay, so that's it. You on the plane, off you go.
Yeah, back there.
When you leave South Africa to go and do the Europe stint again, what is your mindset getting on that plane?
2023 was the best that it's ever been.
Okay.
2023 I actually enjoyed that year. Going there, I had good teammates that became lifelong friends, naming Felix, Bosso as well, the manager.
So you met Felix on the EF?
On the EF, yep.
Felix,
So
a legend.
So that's where a lot of things had changed, you know, like just
The bot was there?
World Tour. We were Continental still.
Okay.
So then it changed my whole perspective over it. I went to Girona, Felix was there. Okay, so I've got a friend. Like, okay, we've got like, can gel with.
South Africans there.
Yeah, Tyler Langer was with us as well that year in the Conti
I
team.
saw a handful of rides with Gibbons.
Yes, we were training with Gibbons, and Alan Hathley was actually initially on the team as well.
Instagram impression of your time there was like, fuck, this guy's living the best life.
No, I must say, 2023 was cool. I enjoyed it that year. You know, that year was the year I was like, okay, I could actually live in Europe. You know, if I had to compare it to what I was going through in 2020 and 2021, 2023, I can make this work. Like there were times I was like, okay, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, racing went well. There were some like proper races. I mean, that year Tour de Rwanda, I won the
breakaway.
Yeah, well, I won the King of the Mountains at the end of the day. Don't know how.
That has to be up there with one of your highlights. That was huge.
Yeah, no, that was big. That was big.
What is when you broke away at? I mean, it's like a stupid number.
I mean, the first day it was a tough day for me because when I left to go to Rwanda, we got a message to say that one of our friends got hit by a car and was killed. So going into Rwanda, I had a little bit of like mixed emotions. You know, I had that in the back of my head. Now you're racing close, handlebars touching, pushing, shouting, and I found myself backing out of gaps just because of my mind not being at the racing, and it actually was quite dangerous. And that night, Bosso sat us down and said, "Guys, if you guys are going to race bikes like this, we're going home. Like, we can't race like this.
Okay.
We're here to race our bikes. We're not here to, give everyone else an opportunity to, come sit in front of you and push you out of the bunch." And we all got a wake-up call that night. And the next day, I was like, just a new hunger inside me, a fury inside me. I went up this one climb and I attacked and no one went with. And I was going full gas over the top of the climb. I took the King of the Mountain points and then I just kept on going. And I kept on going, kept on going, kept on going. And I ended up being in front for like 130 Ks on my own. And they caught me again with like 5 Ks to go. And I got like 9 minutes on the group. So they, when I got the gap, there was always a group that was behind me like a minute, but I never let them catch me. Again, I was just, at the time I was like, I was being me. And got to the line and was on the King of the Mountains jersey. So I was like, okay, well,
Was the team happy?
Team was stoked. They were super happy with the performance. I got the most competitive ride of the day, so I was on the podium. This is a UCI race on the podium.
You had free will to race however you wanted there.
Yes.
Go race your bike.
Go race my bike.
And they affirmed at the end of that stage that they're happy with the way you did that.
Yes.
So that mentality bodes well.
And that's the way I used to race in 2022 as well. Just no pressure from anyone saying, listen, Mark, this is your role. I make the decisions on the road and I see opportunities, I take them and I run with them. And what happens, happens. Yeah. And that's basically my whole career. I pretty much did that. So that night, Bosso and I, we take out the profile of the book, from the race. And we look at everything and we were just like, we looked at each other and we started laughing. We were just like, well, we're not going to keep it tomorrow. We're not going to keep it the day after. The day after that's even worse. It was literally every day. It was like 3,500, 4,000, 4,500 meters of climbing, 200 kilometers.
Yeah.
It was
Big race.
Absolutely mad. The next day, I'm in the King of the Mountains jersey. Neutral zone ends. I attack with another guy. We get away. Okay. Now, 100 Ks into the stage, I'm on this one climb, and I was with a Eritrean and a Kiwi. And I was absolutely man down. I went to Bosso. I said to him, what's the time gap? He says, like 4 minutes. I was like, what's the time cut to the finish line? He's like, what do you mean? I said, no, if they catch me, how much time can I lose before I get eliminated from the race? He's like, what? Well, you're 4 minutes up the road, you're in the King of the Mountain jersey, fighting for the King of the Mountains, and you're asking me what's the time cut?
Yeah.
I was like, I hope that explains to you. I'm fucked. Done. I'm finished. He says to me, no, you're not. So I'm like, what do you want? I was like, no, can I have a Coke, please? He gives me a Coke, full bottle of Coke, down the Coke.
No Diet Coke there.
No Diet Coke there. And he's like, what do you else want? No, I said, I just want Coke. So the rest of that race, he fed me Coke all the way to the finish line. And it's Coca-Cola.
Just in front of him.
Just say Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, it tastes funny without brandy. So anyway, we now go and we go up the next climb. I take third because I was with 2 other guys. Take third on the King of the Mountains, go over the next climb. And eventually I found my legs again. And I dropped the Eritrean, I dropped the Kiwi, and going to the line, they caught me with 3 Ks to go on a 200-kilometer stage. And from there, we went again. We looked at the book and we started laughing at each other.
No chance.
No chance. Next day, breakaway. Up the road, taking points. And we got to like the second last day and we were like, just we might do this.
Yeah.
You know, this is
Best
actually
we stop laughing
this
at
is
this
the
book.
first time we actually like, listen, we might actually get this right. And me at 75 kilograms took the King of the Mountains jersey, the most competitive rider out of Tour de Rwanda, which is one of the, its altitude is like above 2,000 meters.
It's fiercely contested. It's held in a high regard.
Exactly. And I managed to somehow, you know, take that thing home. So yeah, that was
You're probably going to tell me that you're not a good climber.
I'm not a climber. I'm not a climber. You know,
like-
anyone that looks at me will be like, no, he's a domestic. You must sit in front.
I'd actually like to line 20 people up because I guarantee I'd win and you'd lose. They would not say that. Domestique, c'est cut.
Or you can comment in the comment section below.
Yeah. Does Mark look like a domestique? Yes, that's it. I loved watching that. I remember it. It's nice having someone to cheer for.
Yeah.
How's the rest of that stint?
That was good. It was good. I mean, we did a lot of UCI racing, a lot of big races, Tour de Bretagne and all those races. Had some crashes at like 50, 60 k's an hour, 3 k's to go in the sprints, handlebars, and then absolute chaos in front of you, and you just hit bikes and land on top of people. And it was quite an experience, I'm not gonna lie. But I had 2 opportunities with the World Tour. I raced Kopje Bartley with the World Tour team and 2 classics before that. Then at the end of the year, I got the opportunity to go to America. I raced Maryland Classic with him. And yeah, I mean, I raced with Nelson Paulus and all those guys, and to help, help them to get a result. And yeah, that was, I mean, racing with the World Tour and racing Continental, you just cannot compare. I mean, it's chaos the whole Continental race. The World Tour is more controlled, but when the World Tour starts racing, you better hold on because it is just, it's insane.
Could you hang around there?
I think if I raced there a little bit longer, yeah, I could. I could. But again,
what's per kg? I mean, I know I'm not going to get FTPs and all that kind of stuff out of you. You guys are like volts when it comes to that. What is?
I think, like, when I say I could race there, I could make the time cut.
Okay.
Like, I'm being realistic. I mean,
and then the reason I ask what's per kg is because most people that watch this will know their like what's so relevant. It's what's per kg that really like humbles you.
Yeah.
Like what if you thought to yourself, if only I had 400 watts and weighed 75, you'd think to yourself, you could hang around there. What is that number? Like what do you need to have?
To paint a little bit of a picture, I mean, I rode with Daryl Impey and Ryan Gibbons a lot, as you mentioned just now.
Yeah.
And Daryl was in his final year of his racing career, and Daryl was saying, like, at the moment, for him, racing there, I mean, he's won stages in the Tour de France, and you know, he's had the yellow jersey and all that. He says that the cycling is so advanced at this point that when he rides in the gruppetto to make the finish line, they're riding at 5 watts per kg, just to make the finish line, the time cutoff at the finish line, and that's not making it 5 minutes later. That's 20 minutes down, 30 minutes down, and they're riding at 5 watts per kg. And that is Tour de France level, but I mean, that does paint a little bit of a picture. Yeah. And I mean, I can also tell you, like, there was under 23 racing in Italy, go up a climb, riding at 450 watts, heading into a climb. You start to, okay, cool, 450, 480. And if you don't up that pace, you look again, you're in the cars. Like,
I can't.
It is beyond you. Like, you just don't know. Like, otherwise,
there's not one oak doing it. There's 100.
I mean,
200.
Also, like 2023, we were riding this one climb, and I was like, yes, I'm feeling okay. Like, you know, I'm looking at the watts. I'm like, yes, this is where I'm meant to be. Like, you know, so I'm trying to up myself up. And again, I'm filtering myself out the back. And eventually, I drop with Chris Froome. Like, I'm looking just.
Not a lot of us can say.
I look on my wheel. It's Chris Froome on my wheel, and I'm in the convoy.
Pinch yourself.
And it's just like,
that's a great get dropped story.
I know, but I didn't even give up. I was still flat out, and the cars are coming past. Like, I didn't blow. I was still going flat out up the climb, and there I was, Chris Froome.
Nice.
So yeah, no, it's the level is insane. It's really crazy.
Even locally, a lot of guys will say that. Like, the level's insane, but there's levels and then there's levels.
Yeah.
And I think it's difficult to comprehend. Anyway, so how does that finish up? And then
Yeah, 2023 finished up with Maryland Classic with EF. That was the EF stint that finished, but then we got the release letter to race the 2023 947 at the end of the year. I had the full support of the Honeycomb team with the riders from that year, and yeah, we pulled that one off. Managed to win 947 after coming second for 2 years.
Get that monkey off your back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, then that worked out quite nicely for us. And yeah, and then after that I signed for Honeycomb again, and was from 2024 with Honeycomb, and now 2025 still with Honeycomb.
Yeah. Big changes obviously involve relocating.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's life like for Marc at the moment, and what are the aspirations?
I can say I'm happy. Just doing what I love, racing my bike. I'm in an area where, in Joburg, to explain it to you better, like people ask me, how do I train in Joburg? So it's constantly worrying over when you wake up, because you have to wake up early, because you have like this little time slot between 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Because after 1 o'clock, then it's lunchtime, people also start coming out again. So between 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock, probably 12 o'clock actually, but sometimes you have to do a 4 hour ride and you have to
About 1 o'clock, Oak's already drunk and driving.
Yeah. So you have that little time slot where you have to go and ride your bicycle. Yeah. Now I wake up, and if I don't feel like it, I can delay it by an hour, I can delay it by 2 hours, and then I can go do my ride until the sun sets. Yes, there's still, I mean, like I said, like you go to Europe, you have shit there as well. Cape Town's no different. You get...
Oh, but it's so much less.
Yeah, there's so much
less.
It is so much less, But also, if you come from Joburg, everything here seems so, it's not really a problem.
Yeah.
The things that you deal with there, the cars, the road rage and all that, and you just don't really
the criminal elements, you can't tell me otherwise. I've lived there, I know it.
Yeah.
I've seen, people that have you get killed there. It's a completely, as pissed off as Oaks will be on chappies, they're a lot kinder than just one guy.
And I've experienced
late for his garage pint Coca-Cola at 5 in the morning.
Absolutely.
Oaks are fucking molded. It is totally different.
Yes, absolutely. And I've experienced it. I mean, I was 2018, the BCX year, it was a weekend before we did Jock Classic. I was at my house, I had a friend there. And I mean, we live in in a secure complex. So we came to the garage door. I literally walked in. We still had bolognese from the night before. We popped that on the stove, heated that up.
On the bra.
Yeah. I walked to my bedroom. I plugged my phone in. My phone was flat, and all of a sudden I just hear my friend running, because my friend was with me at the time. He ran towards my room, into my room, and he tried to slam the door closed. And as he tried to slam the door closed, it stopped. And then I saw a gun come around the corner. And then there was a guy standing there with a gun, masked. And then first thing I was like, what do you want? I'm not fighting you. What do you want? Take whatever you want. Just don't hurt us. Leave him. He doesn't live here. Ask me. I'll show you everything that you want to know, or whatever. Just don't hurt us. Okay, so they're obviously very, they try and be very intimidating and all that. And they keep pointing the gun, they keep pushing the gun into you and all that. And then as you come around the corner there, out of the house, there were 4 other guys, also masked guns. And I mean, we were properly in shit. So yeah, they then wanted a safe with money, they wanted guns, which we have none of, by the way. And the more you say we don't have, the more they don't actually believe you. So that whole thing, they eventually, they ransacked the house, they pulled the TVs off the wall, and they took, not much, they took cameras, they took laptops and stuff like that, they took our phones and all that. But yeah, cable tied us, laying on the floor, face down, don't move, we're still here and all this, and you can hear them driving away and all that. So they just closed all the curtains, and yeah, it was quite an experience. But so I've experienced it, and my parents still live in the same house.
Yeah.
But I mean, where are you going to go? Everyone's like, are you guys moving now? Yeah. Okay, cool, we're going to move to the next place. It's going to happen there. At least they know there's nothing here now.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for gritting your teeth and dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
I don't believe in running away from problems, but then there's the lifestyle here is just so good, so different, and so aligned to anyone that has any aspirations to be outdoors and lead that lifestyle. It's Yeah. Anyway, don't get me started on the Joburg exodus, because that's, I think, to my point earlier to Cass, if you want your parents to live longer, get them to Cape Town.
Yeah.
There's a lot less to worry about.
No, for sure.
Anyway, that depressing story aside, I can't help noticing there's a lot more mountain biking. It feels like there's a big focus on mountain biking. Is that intentional?
Absolutely.
What's the story there?
Like I said in the beginning of the interview, I said, conversation that I started with the Chelseakers, I started with the Ashburtons, I started with the school series, and that was all mountain biking. Road chose me. 2024, I made the decision that I choose mountain biking. You know, the road scene in South Africa isn't also what it used to be. Now, the road scene is obviously going a little bit away, like less and less races. Gravel's picking up, and mountain biking, we still have the biggest mountain bike event in the world, which is the Cape Epic. You know, so, and that's all in our back garden now. You know, so, and it's something that I've always wanted to, you know, the mountain biking side of things is what I've always wanted to achieve, something more. I've done South African road title, I've done South African gravel title. I'm still missing the mountain bike title. That is something that I'm aspire to.
Is that the goal?
I would say that's the goal. That's the goal for the foreseen future.
Were the full sports of your team?
Yes.
Is that aligned with their ambitions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Was that a conversation like, guys, this is what I want to pursue, the best place for me to be is the Cape, and off you go, or?
Yeah, I spoke to Carl about it, and I was just like, I need to get out of here. You know, I can't train, I can't do my intervals properly, I can't do a 2-minute interval without crossing a robot somewhere, or having a car hoot at me, and like it was just such a negative place. And then when you drive in traffic, there's cars blowing smoke in your face the whole time, and like also you're preparing for a mountain bike race in Joburg, where you can just ride next to the road if you want to get some gravel. You know, you have to drive an hour to go to Tarbour trails and go and ride Tarbour
and you're
trails.
racing against oaks, that are
Constantly on trails, you know. So then I come down here and I'm so far behind technically, or even just fitness-wise. You know, these long, fast downhills, your eyes, you mentally you get so tired because you're not used to focusing for this long. You know, a road, you just pedal. You know, you just ride your watts, and you know, it's good. So.
Outside of the mountain biking, any other specific goals, and outside of cycling as well? I mean, there's more going on in your life than just cycling. I gather there's a greater balance.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the big thing for me. I think as much as I like riding my bicycle and all that, I am a person that thinks about tomorrow, and I think about tomorrow way too much, because it kills me inside a little bit, like not knowing what is coming after cycling. And I mean, I don't just want to think about it, I actually want to take action on it. But just it's easier said than done, because you also have to figure out in what direction you want to go and what you want to do. So that's the reason why I wanted to work at Honeycomb as well, just to find a little bit more of a perspective on what they do, what the corporate life looks like. And just to experience that side of things, you know. So I think there's a lot more that I want to do. That doesn't involve cycling at all. If that is, you know, trying to find what is next for Marc Pritzen, and I'm not saying that in a sense that I'm not focusing on what I'm doing right now, because I am all in on my cycling career. But even though I try and distract myself on, you know, what's after cycling, I just, it's a topic that keeps popping up in my head, and I do want to be prepared for that one day. And
so would you say that this is a year where you giving yourself the freedom to explore that without any, or you still not giving it too much power yet?
I'm putting my feelers out there just to find out, like also just to educate myself a little bit more on what is out there. You know, what else can I do? What else can be done in this world? I mean, we live in a bubble in the cycling community where it's literally go from one race to the next, to the next, to the next, and you train, and you know, you don't see much else. I mean, I've traveled the world. I've traveled to Europe. I've traveled to America. I've traveled to Australia. I haven't seen anything. You know, cycling it's so this is what you do. You follow the guy in front of you.
Check that tire.
You just check that tire. You just see that.
Set and tire.
You know, and yeah, you nibble on your handlebar every now and then.
Yeah.
But that's it, you know. So I'd like to eventually also see what is more to life than the cycle.
And are you in an environment where there's freedom to explore that?
Yeah.
Like because that's a big thing.
Absolutely.
To be able to have that conversation in an open forum.
Yeah.
Is that?
No, I'm
Is
absolutely.
it a safe place there to do that and explore that?
Yeah.
Knowing that your commitment to
And
the
also,
craft
I mean,
is-
I've had meetings with Auntie Deirdre about these specific things as well. And I mean, if I hate if, because if is there's the biggest thing that irritates me, but I'm going to say if anyway. If cycling, you know, when cycling comes to an end, Honeycomb, with the relationship that I've built with them and the whole dynamic I have with them, I will always have work, which is a nice, comforting feeling to have, you know, because even though we all are cycling, we all are racing our bikes and all that, but it all comes to an end eventually. I mean, everyone has to retire, and it happens way quicker than we actually, you know.
even Daryl Impey had to retire.
Even Daryl Impey had to retire, you know. So it happens a lot quicker than we realize. And I mean, life flies by. Everyone's like, where's this year gone? You know, and that's another year that is out of your cycling career, you know. I mean, you can only race for so long. So yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be thinking about these things too much right now. I know I have to focus on what I'm doing, but I can't help but just
Yeah, I think it's a productive distraction to have.
Yeah.
And I've found great purpose and immense delight in allowing myself to think. I mean, I've only ever known work since fucking forever.
Yeah.
As long as I can remember, I've been obsessed with business, commerce, and just work.
Yeah.
And to allow yourself to just slide off for a minute and think about, you know, what else one could do
no,
for work and for entertainment. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this, what I love more than anything at the moment,
Yeah.
had I not given myself the chance to just dream a little.
Absolutely. And taking risks.
And for someone who's not a sprinter, having won God knows how many sprints, imagine applying that same philosophy to the rest of your
You're saying
life.
for someone not being an accountant to nail the numbers.
I don't nail the numbers. I'm not an accountant. Candidates will verify that all the time. I intentionally forget the difference between VAT, PAYE, and paying SARS, like your profits. It drives me mad. It's not the same as VAT. I'm excited to see what that next chapter holds. You know, I have I don't know. I think the people around you, much the same as your parents and other people, looked from the outside in and saw numbers and a power file and whatever other measurements they took. I think people are seeing, certainly myself, you might think it's the end of your cycling career, but it's the start of your life.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's due anytime soon, but
yeah, it's a nice
feel free to explore that. You must explore that with excitement,
Yeah.
not like, I shouldn't be thinking about this. It's not taboo. It's a smart thing to think about. And knowing that you're in an environment where you're allowed to do that is, hats off to the team there.
Yeah. No, and I mean, like, it's a nice way of putting it. Like, when the time would come, cycling is, that's the end
Professional cycling.
Professional cycling. That's the time. It's not the end of everything. Because I think I've been known as only a cyclist for my whole life, but there's a lot more to me than cycling. I mean, I love to do, there's many other things that I would say that describe Marc Pritzen better than just Marc Pritzen riding his bicycle. And I think me being in Europe that changed it a little bit for me, because you become a little bit more isolated, a little bit introverted, and that it didn't suit my personality as such. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely still opportunities in cycling for me, and there's still goals that I have, and I think when the time does come when I decide, okay, that was the last one. I think wherever I go, I'm going to apply that same mentality of, I want to do my all. If I do it, it goes in with everything, and that's what I saw within my brother, the way he started his own business now. He's giving his absolute everything. And I can't imagine myself doing it any differently. It doesn't matter what career I go in after this, it's going to be all in or it's not worth my time, So I think, like you said, one chapter closes, another one opens. You know, it's not the end; it's just the new beginning.
This is by no means the closing of Marc Pritzen's racing career, but it's an exciting time to think about those things. And as that journey unfolds, I mean, I've said you're welcome back here, literally any time, whatever the subject matter is. I couldn't care less. But it'd be great to. I mean, that's maybe a good conversation to continue. Would love to check in on that in future. But I would sure as hell like to see that mountain bike SA champ jersey draped over your shoulders before then.
Yeah, for sure.
And at minimum, the red epic one.
Yeah, absolutely.
My personal little request, if you don't mind. And then you can rest assured that your social cycling career, unbeknownst to most, is actually more intense than your professional one.
Yeah, well, my stories never sound as cool as you guys' story. I'm going to be honest with you. If I
invite you one more time, and you no-show, I mean, I don't really know what I'm going to say.
No, but I mean, if I listen to Epic on its own, I mean, we raised the UCI cat and we have X amount of stories. Like we literally, I don't know, can't even think of it on the top of my head. Then you have Kyle, Christian, Casper, Detoy come from a batch race. And the stories that come out of that group, the fights that were in that group, it sounds like it must be a hell of a time in there. So, no, absolutely.
The field is competitive. I think outside of that, like extreme elite, I say it all the time on our Tuesday group rides, like these are not average cyclists. Like there's a guy there that wins his age cat at SAs. There's multiple people. You see this SA jersey every now and again. Like it's the social athlete in Cape Town and largely in South Africa. Like people way out here, like the trail runners. There's you got people that podium. There's 100 milers, South Africans that podium there. Like
absolutely,
that's the bar's higher.
No, absolutely, and that's why we have the biggest participation events, like as in the Argus and the 947. You know, I mean, if you look at the people competing in that, like it's one of the biggest events in the world,
worldwide. Yeah. Anyway, Marky, I think we've reached the end of this. I suppose more than anything, I look forward to you proving yourself wrong on anything else you think you aren't. Like the sprinter, I mean, that's just the most hilarious thing I've heard all day. But I'm not a climber, I'm not a sprinter. Keep proving yourself wrong. I think, if anything. Thank you so much for coming in. I know it's a bit of a drive and it's time out of a very busy schedule. Thank you so much. You're welcome back anytime. Please do not forget to review Leslie's coffee from downstairs. She expects nothing less than 5 stars. And best of luck. Best of luck planning the future beyond the professional cycling.
Thank you very much.
Pursuing those dreams.
Thank you.
So good to have you. Thank you.